Welcome to Daily Stoic Practice, your compass to navigate the complexities of modern life with ancient wisdom. We often hear the message, be kind, put others first, help wherever you can. While kindness is indeed a virtue, can it sometimes be harmful? Can too much kindness actually jeopardize your well-being, happiness, or even your safety? Surprisingly, the answer is yes. In a world that doesn't always reciprocate what we give, unchecked generosity can leave us emotionally drained, financially burdened, and vulnerable to exploitation. This is why Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of balance, reason, and self-awareness in our actions, even acts of kindness. Today, we'll explore 8 dangers of being overly kind and uncover 4 Stoic-inspired strategies to protect yourself from being taken advantage of. Imagine a woman named Sarah, a kind-hearted friend and colleague. Sarah prided herself on being there for everyone. If someone needed a listening ear, she was the first to pick up the phone. If a coworker had a tight deadline, she'd stay late to help. Birthdays? She never forgot. Yet, over time, she began to feel a deep frustration building within her. One day, her closest friend forgot her birthday, a day Sarah had always made special for others. It wasn't just the lack of acknowledgement that stung, it was the sense that all the effort she put into her relationships wasn't being reciprocated. She found herself spiraling into self-pity. Why do I give so much if no one cares enough to give back? Later that week, Sarah came across a quote by Marcus Aurelius. The fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good. The simplicity of it struck her. She realized that her acts of kindness had always come with hidden expectations. She wasn't giving out of pure generosity. She was subconsciously trading her effort for recognition and affection. Reflecting on this, Sarah decided to change her approach. The next time a friend needed help moving, she showed up, not because she hoped they'd return the favor someday, but because she wanted to be of service. At work, she began setting healthy boundaries, helping only when it felt manageable and genuine. Surprisingly, something remarkable happened. Without the weight of unspoken expectations, Sarah found herself feeling lighter, freer. Her relationships began to feel more authentic too. She discovered joy in giving for its own sake and found peace in letting go of the idea that others had to pay her back in kindness or attention. Sarah's journey reflects a core Stoic principle. Expectations often set us up for disappointment. When we pin our happiness on how others treat us, we give away our power. People aren't necessarily failing us, they're simply navigating their own lives. Practicing emotional detachment doesn't mean withdrawing from others or becoming indifferent. Instead, it's about giving without strings attached and finding contentment in your own character, not in how others respond. So, the next time you feel let down by someone, ask yourself, was I giving to receive, or was I giving because it's who I want to be? Let your actions be a reflection of your values, not a contract for reciprocity. When you align with this mindset, you'll discover that true peace comes from within, not from the approval or behavior of others. As the Stoics remind us, the only person we can truly control is ourselves. And in choosing to let go of expectations, we free ourselves to live with greater peace and purpose. When you constantly put others' needs ahead of your own, there's a quiet but significant cost. Your dreams, passions, and well-being often get pushed to the sidelines. What starts as generosity can turn into self-neglect, and over time, you might notice that your goals, those things that once filled you with purpose and excitement, start to fade into the background. The truth is, when you prioritize everyone else, the message you send, even unintentionally, is that your aspirations don't matter as much. The Stoics remind us that living a virtuous life isn't about self-sacrifice at the expense of your own growth. Virtue is found in balance, staying true to your values and fulfilling your responsibilities to yourself and others. Sacrificing your goals entirely for the sake of others isn't noble or heroic. It's often a way of avoiding something deeper. Perhaps it's the fear of failure, the discomfort of uncertainty, or the difficulty of facing your own challenges. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Ask yourself honestly, am I helping others to avoid dealing with my own struggles? This question can be uncomfortable, but it's also freeing. If the answer is yes, it's a signal that it's time to recalibrate your priorities. Being there for others is valuable, but not at the cost of abandoning yourself. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, offers us a profound reminder. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself. Avoiding your own challenges, whether by overcommitting to others' needs or ignoring your passions, doesn't lead to a fulfilling life. Instead, it leaves you feeling stagnant and unfulfilled, like you're living someone else's story rather than your own. Neglecting yourself doesn't just harm you, it also limits the impact you can have on the world. By failing to nurture your own potential, you deny others the best version of you, the one who could inspire, lead, and create in ways only you can. Imagine how much more you could contribute if you were thriving rather than just surviving. The lesson here isn't to stop helping others, but to help yourself too. Reconnect with your goals, even if that means saying no more often or carving out time for personal growth. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. By taking care of your dreams and well-being, you'll not only honor your own journey, but also set an example for those around you. In doing so, you achieve the balance the Stoics advocate, a life of purpose, virtue, and true fulfillment. Humans are creatures of habit, and kindness, while admirable, is no exception to this rule. When you consistently put others' needs above your own, it's easy for those around you to fall into a pattern of reliance, sometimes to an unhealthy extent. At first, your selflessness might be met with gratitude and appreciation. But over time, something subtle yet significant can happen. People may start to expect your help as a given, rather than seeing it as a generous act. This dynamic can slowly create a toxic comfort zone for those you care about. Instead of managing their own problems or taking responsibility for their choices, they may begin to assume that you'll always step in to fix things. While your intention might be to help, this can lead to an imbalance in relationships. They get comfortable with your overgiving nature, and you find yourself burdened with more than your fair share of emotional or practical responsibilities. Worse still, they might not even realize the toll it's taking on you, because from their perspective, you've always been willing to bear the load. What starts as kindness can unintentionally enable others to avoid their own growth. By taking on their problems, you might shield them from learning essential life lessons like resilience, accountability, or how to handle failure. In the end, this doesn't truly serve them. Instead of becoming stronger, they become more dependent. The lesson here is not to stop being kind, but to be more intentional about how you give. Ask yourself, is my kindness truly helping this person grow? Or am I making things easier for them in the short term at the expense of their long-term well-being? Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're selfish. It means you respect both yourself and others enough to create a healthier dynamic. Remember, your kindness should uplift and inspire. It should encourage others to stand on their own 2 feet, not to lean on you indefinitely. By being mindful of how much you give and how often, you'll not only protect your energy, but also empower others to take control of their own lives. That's the ultimate act of kindness, helping people grow even when it means stepping back. Ironically, being excessively kind can sometimes have the opposite effect of what you intend. Instead of earning admiration or gratitude, it may erode the respect others have for you. When you always say yes, people might begin to see your generosity not as a virtue, but as a sign of weakness. They might assume you lack boundaries, that you're too afraid to push back, or that you're simply the easiest person to turn to when they want to offload their problems. Over time, this perception can turn you into a convenient option, someone they rely on out of habit, not respect. The Stoics understood that true strength doesn't lie in constant compliance, but in the ability to stand firm in your values and principles. Kindness, when misused or unbalanced, can turn into a liability if it compromises your self-respect. Saying no isn't an act of selfishness. It's an act of self-control and discipline. It's a way of demonstrating that your time, energy, and priorities matter too. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Being good doesn't mean being a doormat. It means standing for what is right, including what's right for yourself. This idea is echoed in the words of Epictetus. He who is not master of himself is a slave. When you allow others to overstep your boundaries because you're afraid of confrontation or rejection, you become a slave, not just to them, but to your own fear of saying no. True mastery of oneself involves knowing when to give and when to hold back. It's about recognizing that your kindness is most powerful when it comes from a place of strength, not obligation or insecurity. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you're abandoning your kindness. Instead, it ensures that your kindness is rooted in genuine care rather than compulsion. When you establish clear limits, you send a powerful message to those around you. I am here to help, but I am also here to honor myself. This kind of discipline inspires respect. It shows others that your generosity is intentional, not something they can take for granted. So the next time you feel pressured to say yes, pause and reflect. Are you agreeing out of fear or because it aligns with your values? Remember, saying no when necessary is not a sign of weakness. It's a mark of wisdom. By balancing your kindness with self-respect, you transform it into a true strength, one that empowers both you and those around you to grow. In doing so, you embody the Stoic ideal, a life of integrity, discipline, and mutual respect. There's a man named David, known among his friends as the Fixer. Whenever someone needed a favor, be it financial help, advice, or a last-minute rescue, David was the one they'd call. And David would always say yes, even if it meant sacrificing his own plans or pushing himself to the brink of exhaustion. At first, David felt good about being the dependable friend. But as time passed, he began noticing a troubling pattern. Some of the people he helped were only around when they needed something. They'd show up in crisis, take what they could, and disappear when life was smooth again. Meanwhile, the friendships he valued most, those built on mutual care and support, seemed to slip away, drowned out by his one-sided efforts with the takers. One day, David confided in a mentor about his growing frustration. The mentor, familiar with Stoic teachings, asked, "Are you giving your energy to people who truly value it? Or are you scattering it to anyone who asks without judgment?" The question hit home. David realized he wasn't exercising discernment. He thought saying yes to everyone made him generous. But in reality, it left him drained and surrounded by people who only cared about what he could provide. Inspired to make a change, David began setting boundaries. He started by politely declining requests that felt one-sided or burdensome, reminding himself that true friendships don't crumble when you say no. He also became more intentional about spending time with people who genuinely valued him, not for what he could do, but for who he was. Over time, his circle grew smaller, but much more meaningful. He noticed a shift. The friends who remained respected his limits and supported him in return. The energy vampires drifted away, no longer able to exploit his willingness to overextend himself. David's story echoes the Stoic teaching on wise judgment in relationships. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to associate with those who improve you, and Epictetus advises us to focus our time and energy on what truly matters. When you're constantly giving without boundaries, you risk attracting people who see your kindness as something to exploit rather than cherish. Practicing wise judgment doesn't mean becoming suspicious or unkind. It means being discerning about where your energy goes. Invest in relationships that uplift you, that are built on respect and mutual effort. True friends don't just take, they give, they listen, and they honor your boundaries. The next time someone seeks your time or help, ask yourself, is this a relationship that nourishes me or one that drains me? Remember, your energy is precious. By protecting it, you create space for connections that are meaningful, balanced, and enduring. As the Stoics teach, choose companions who align with your values and let the rest fade away. Generosity, while a beautiful quality, comes with a cost. It requires energy, mental, emotional, and even physical. When you consistently overextend yourself to meet the needs of others, you risk depleting your own reserves. This type of exhaustion doesn't just leave you feeling drained. It can affect your mood, your focus, and your overall sense of well-being. Over time, running on empty can lead to burnout, resentment, and even a sense of being disconnected from your own life. The impact of overgiving isn't just internal. When your energy is low, it can create a ripple effect, influencing how you experience and interact with the world around you. Some people describe this as lowering your vibrational energy. While the phrase may sound abstract, it captures a simple truth. When you're exhausted, you're more likely to feel irritable, overwhelmed, or unmotivated, which can, in turn, attract more negativity into your life. Instead of feeling energized and in control, you may find yourself stuck in a cycle of frustration and fatigue, giving so much to others that there's nothing left for yourself. Stoicism teaches us the importance of protecting our inner peace and conserving our strength. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. His words serve as a reminder that while it's admirable to care for others, we must first take responsibility for managing our own energy. If we allow ourselves to be drained by constant giving, we're surrendering the power we have to shape our own inner state. To break this cycle, it's essential to set boundaries, not just with others, but with yourself. Ask yourself, am I giving because it's meaningful and fulfilling, or am I giving because I feel obligated? Generosity that comes from a place of obligation or guilt is rarely sustainable. Instead, focus on directing your energy toward people and causes that genuinely uplift you, and be mindful of when it's time to step back and recharge. Remember, conserving your energy isn't selfish. It's necessary. By prioritizing your well-being, you ensure that you're in a stronger position to help others in a meaningful and lasting way. Think of it like a flame. If you let it burn out completely, it can't provide light or warmth to anyone, not even yourself. But if you protect it, nurture it, and feed it with care, that flame can grow, spreading light and positivity to all those around you. In the end, generosity isn't about giving until you're empty. It's about giving from a place of strength. By valuing your own energy and protecting your inner peace, you not only honor yourself, but also create the conditions for true and that sustainable kindness, the kind that uplifts both you and those you care about. When you consistently overextend yourself, the emotional toll can be overwhelming. Giving too much of your time, energy, and attention often leads to burnout, a state of physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion. And when burnout takes hold, it's common to seek relief, sometimes in ways that aren't healthy. Whether it's overeating, excessive drinking, compulsive shopping, or other addictive behaviors, these coping mechanisms might offer a brief escape, but ultimately cause more harm than good. They dull the discomfort temporarily, but over time, they chip away at your health, focus, and self-respect. This cycle of burnout and harmful coping isn't just a personal problem. It can impact your relationships and your ability to live a fulfilling life. When your energy is constantly drained and you're running on fumes, it becomes harder to be present with others or pursue your own goals. Instead of addressing the root cause overextension, you might find yourself stuck in a loop, relying on these temporary fixes that never fully resolve the underlying issue. The Stoics viewed self-mastery as a cornerstone of a virtuous and meaningful life. To the Stoics, true strength lies in recognizing and overcoming harmful impulses before they take control. Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This wisdom reminds us that freedom isn't just about avoiding external constraints. It's about breaking free from the internal chains we place on ourselves when we fall into destructive patterns. Addressing these tendencies starts with awareness. Ask yourself, what emotions or situations trigger these habits? Am I using them to escape stress, guilt, or the pressure to constantly please others? By reflecting on these questions, you can begin to identify the deeper causes of your behavior. Often, the root issue is a lack of balance, sacrificing too much of yourself without allowing time to recharge or set boundaries. Once you've recognized the patterns, take deliberate steps to regain control. This could mean setting limits on how much you give to others, prioritizing self-care, or seeking healthier ways to manage stress, such as meditation, exercise, or journaling. The key is to replace destructive habits with practices that nourish your body and mind. As Marcus Aurelius advised, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Breaking free from harmful coping mechanisms isn't easy, but it's essential for reclaiming your energy, health, and sense of purpose. When you focus on cultivating self-discipline and addressing burnout at its source, you pave the way for a life of balance and resilience. Instead of masking the pain, you confront it with courage, learning to live in alignment with your values and aspirations. And in doing so, you honor the Stoic ideal, a life of self-mastery guided by reason and virtue. In a world where genuine kindness can be hard to come by, excessive generosity doesn't always inspire trust. Instead of appreciating your goodwill, some people might view it with skepticism, wondering if there's a hidden agenda behind your actions. They may ask themselves, what's in it for them? Why are they being so helpful? This reaction can be disheartening, especially if your intentions are purely selfless. But it's also a reminder of an important Stoic principle. The value of your actions isn't measured by how others perceive them. When people question your motives, it often has little to do with you, and more to do with their own experiences or insecurities. Perhaps they've encountered manipulation disguised as kindness before, or live with a worldview that assumes people rarely act without self-interest. While this doubt may sting, it doesn't diminish the value of your actions. What matters most, as the Stoics teach us, is staying true to your values. Epictetus provides a profound insight into handling others' opinions. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. This advice reminds us that external validation is fleeting and unreliable. Living a virtuous life means focusing on what's within your control, your intentions, your actions, and your adherence to your principles. Letting go of the need to be understood or praised by everyone is liberating. It allows you to act from a place of inner strength and authenticity, rather than from a desire to meet others' expectations. At the same time, this skepticism can be an opportunity to reflect on how you present yourself. While your intentions may be pure, are your actions balanced? Is your generosity so frequent or over the top that it feels performative, even if it's not? Sometimes the appearance of imbalance can unintentionally send the wrong message. By setting healthy boundaries, you not only protect yourself, but also ensure that your kindness is perceived as genuine and grounded. Ultimately, it's important to remember that true virtue doesn't require applause or even recognition. As Marcus Aurelius put it, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Focus on letting your actions speak for themselves, and trust that the people who matter, those with the wisdom and maturity to recognize your intentions, will see your authenticity. In the end, people may question your motives, but that's not your burden to carry. By living in alignment with your values, you can remain at peace, knowing that your kindness is genuine and rooted in strength. Over time, your consistency and integrity will shine through, leaving no doubt about the authenticity of your character. Kindness is a virtue, but without boundaries, it can leave you feeling exhausted and taken for granted. The Stoics teach us that balance is essential, both for your well-being and for the quality of your relationships. Here are 4 Stoic-inspired strategies to help you protect yourself while continuing to give from a place of strength and purpose. 1. Pay attention to your feelings. The Stoics emphasized self-awareness as the foundation of a well-lived life. When you help others, take a moment to reflect. How do I feel afterward? Energized or drained? Appreciated or resentful? If the latter emotions dominate, it's a signal that you may be overextending yourself or giving without clear boundaries. Think of your energy like water in a cup. You can only pour into others when your own cup is full. By recognizing when you're running dry, you can step back, recharge, and give from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Remember, as Epictetus taught, know first who you are and what you are capable of. Self-awareness allows you to protect your kindness while maintaining emotional balance. 2. Embrace the power of no. Saying no isn't selfish, it's an act of self-respect. Often, we agree to things out of guilt or a fear of disappointing others. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying no to something else, your priorities, your peace, your growth. Seneca put it perfectly. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. Saying no gives you control over how you spend your time and energy. Start small. Decline requests that feel like a burden, and notice how empowering it feels to protect your boundaries. The discomfort of saying no is temporary. The benefits to your well-being are lasting. 3. Prioritize your well-being. The Stoics remind us to care for our mind, body, and soul. Schedule time for activities that rejuvenate you, whether it's exercising, journaling, or simply enjoying a quiet moment. Treat this time as sacred. It's the foundation of your ability to give to others meaningfully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. When you prioritize self-care, you build resilience, ensuring that your kindness comes from a place of choice, not obligation. 4. Distance yourself from energy vampires. Some people take more than they give, leaving you drained and disillusioned. While the Stoics encourage compassion, they also emphasize the importance of surrounding yourself with people who align with your values. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Associate with those who improve you." Identify relationships that consistently leave you feeling depleted and set healthy boundaries. This might mean limiting contact or even walking away from connections that don't serve your growth. By doing so, you create space for relationships that are mutually enriching and inspiring. According to Stoic wisdom, the best path is always the middle ground, a balance between extremes. Excessive kindness, though seemingly virtuous, can be just as harmful as an outright lack of compassion. When you overgive, you risk neglecting your own well-being, fostering unhealthy dependencies, and even inviting burnout. The Stoics remind us that true virtue lies in measured action, kindness that uplifts others without sacrificing yourself. The goal, then, is to give thoughtfully and intentionally. This means offering help in ways that align with your values while maintaining a strong sense of self. It's not about saying yes to every request, but about giving in ways that are meaningful and sustainable. Practicing self-awareness allows you to recognize when your generosity is crossing into self-neglect, while setting clear boundaries ensures that your kindness remains a source of strength rather than weakness. Embracing Stoic principles can guide you in cultivating a kindness that is both empowering and enduring. Remember, saying no is not an act of cruelty or selfishness. It's an affirmation of your time, energy, and priorities. As Epictetus taught, self-mastery is the foundation of a virtuous life. When you say no where necessary, you protect your ability to say yes to what truly matters. And when in doubt, trust the wisdom of simplicity. One small word, no, can safeguard your peace of mind, your energy, and your relationships, helping you live in alignment with your values. If this resonates with you, please like and subscribe to Daily Stoic Practice and share your insights in the comments. Your thoughts may inspire others on their own journeys to inner peace and resilience. Don't miss our daily videos, insightful discussions, and practical tips for applying Stoic principles to your modern life.